Hey everybody, welcome to Bible class. Can you join me in 1 Kings chapter 14? We're exploring the divided kingdom after the days of Saul, David, and Solomon. We've talked a little bit about the son of Solomon, Rehoboam, who was reigning the southern kingdom of Judah. We've talked a little bit about Jeroboam, who was reigning in the northern kingdom of Israel after this kingdom has divided. In order to understand how we get to that dark point that we've reminded ourselves a couple of times, how do these divided kingdoms end? Well, God sent messenger after messenger after messenger. We know them as the prophets, right? But the people wouldn't listen. The wrath of God rose until there was no remedy. It's one of the darkest descriptions in all of the Bible at the end of these kingdoms. So how do we get here? Well, in our last study, we noticed how Jeroboam, the first king of that northern kingdom of Israel, built golden calves, right? One in the northern part of his kingdom up in Dan, the other in the southern portion of his kingdom down in Bethel, trying to keep the children of Israel from going down to Jerusalem as God had commanded and to present themselves at the temple before the Lord. But in order to understand how things really begin to get out of control, we need to return back here to the south to Rehoboam. We heard about his foolish choice, right? To listen to the younger advisors rather than the older, more experienced ones. Let's pick back up in 1 Kings 14, beginning in verse 21. Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, reigned in Judah. He was 41 years old when he began to reign. He reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city that the Lord had chosen out of all the tribes of Israel to put his name there. In verse 22, what was life like in Judah under the reign of Rehoboam? Judah did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. They provoked the Lord to jealousy with their sins that they committed more than all that their fathers had done. They built for themselves high places and pillars and Asherim on every high hill and under every green tree. What we're hearing about is idolatry, not just in the northern kingdom of Israel with those golden calves, but even here in the kingdom of Judah, in and around Jerusalem. What I really want to think with you about in our class period is, why does the Lord feel such jealousy when his people give their hearts over to idols? Why would he describe idolatry as abomination? That's a big word in the Bible. What does that mean, that God looks at something as an abomination? One of the really important points for you and me to understand is Israel ought to have known better. The descendants of Abraham ought to have been different from the nations that had been driven out of the land of Canaan in the days of Joshua. And yet here they are living just like everybody else. From there, the narrative moves to the son of Rehoboam named Abijah or Abijam. You can see him in 1 Kings 15 and verse 3. Things any better under Abijam? No, he walked in all the sins that his father Rehoboam did before him. His heart, listen to this, this is important. The heart of Abijam was not wholly true to the Lord his God, as the heart of David his father. What does it mean, even for us today, to have hearts that are wholly or completely true to the Lord our God. After Abijah, we've got the longer reign of Asa, and you can hear about him in 1 Kings 15, beginning in verse 11. Asa did what was right in the eyes of the Lord. This is what we're looking for, right? Asa acted like David. He put away the male cult prostitutes out of the land. He removed all the idols that his father had made. He removed his mother from being queen because she had made an abominable image for Asherah, a false goddess. Asa cut down her image. He burned it at the brook Kidron, but the high places were not taken away. Nevertheless, listen to this. This is what we're looking for. The heart of Asa was wholly true to the Lord all his days. At this point, our narrative flips up to the northern kingdom of Israel. After the days of Jeroboam, we read about his son, 1 Kings 15, verse 25, named Nadab. Nadab, the son of Jeroboam, began to reign over Israel in the second year of Asa, king of Judah. He reigned over Israel for 2 years. What was life like in Israel under the reign of Israel's second king, the son of Jeroboam, named Nadab? He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He walked in the way of his father, and in his sin, he just kept doing the same sort of things that Jeroboam before him had done. After Nadab, we read about Baasha. 1 Kings 15 and verse 33. Baasha reigned for 24 years. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He walked in the way of Jeroboam and in his sin, which he made Israel to sin. After Baasha, we read about Elah. You can see him in 1 Kings 16, verse 8. Verse 9, his servant Zimri, get this in your mind. Elah is the king. Elah has a servant named Zimri, who is the commander of his chariots, and his own commander conspired against him. What sort of king was Elah? Well, he was drinking himself drunk, and when his commander Zimri saw an opportunity, he came in and he killed his own king. And so for just a very little while, Zimri reigns in Israel. 1 Kings 16 and verse 15. He reigns for just 7 days. And when it becomes known that a commander has killed the king, we've got all sorts of unrest, and people are ready to try and take the kingdom back. And so what does Zimri do? In 1 Kings 16 and verse 18, when he sees that the city is taken, he sets fire to the citadel of the king's house, and he burns the king's house down with himself inside. Listen, things in Israel are not good. And here's the reason. 1 Kings 16 verse 19, because of the sins that he committed. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord, walking in the way of Jeroboam, and for his sin which he committed, making Israel to sin. Let's notice one more. Omri in this northern kingdom of Israel. 1 Kings 16 verse 25, Omri did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. He did more evil than all who were before him. He walked in the way of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, and in the sins that he made Israel to sin, provoking the Lord, the God of Israel. Here it is again. We heard about God being provoked to jealousy. Here it is the Lord being provoked to anger by the idols of these people. Hearts are wandering away from God in both Israel and sometimes in Judah. What we're looking for is the sort of heart that Asa had, a heart that was wholly true to the Lord all his days. So let's think together for the rest of our time in class. What does it mean to have a heart that is wholly true to God? Why is God so jealous when his people chase after idolatry? Is there a way that you and I can be guilty of that today? What do we need to learn from this sad chapter in Israel's history? Let's talk about it together. Thanks so much for being in class. Hope you have a great rest of your class and a great rest of this week.